Hello students, how are you? Students, I hope that you all are fine. Students, I'm here back again with a new chapter this time. And this time, I am here to give you a chapter of grammar. As you know that in the previous lectures that I have given you here on YouTube, I have discussed with you the chapters of literature, English literature, especially prose and poetry. But this time, I am here to discuss with you a chapter of grammar, and this is a very important one. Students, make sure that this lecture that we are going to have here today is not only beneficial for those students who go to school, but for those candidates also who are preparing for various competitive exams. So students, the topic that we are going to discuss today is subject-verb concord, which is also known as subject-verb agreement. Let us now discuss. So the topic of the today's chapter is subject-verb concord. Concord here means agreement. And this means that the subject of a sentence always agrees with its verb in number. What is a number, students? There are two numbers in English: singular number and plural number. Something that is one is called singular, something that is more than one is called plural. So students, if the subject of a sentence is singular, the verb that follows it must be in singular number. If the subject is in plural number, the verb that follows it must be in plural number. This is the sum and substance of the topic that we are going to discuss today. Subject-verb agreement says that the subject of a sentence always agrees with its verb in number. And that simply means if the subject is in singular number, the verb that comes after the subject must be in singular number. If the subject is in plural number, the verb that follows it must be in plural number. For example, here I have written a sentence: Ramesh is playing hockey. Students, there are two ways to understand the subject of a sentence. In order to understand the subject of a sentence, first of all we should pay proper attention to the type of verb. So students, first of all, subject and verb. Verb of a sentence can either be functional or non-functional. Let me here write two examples to understand this. Ravi is a learner. Ravi is learning English. Students, here I have written two sentences. Let us read sentence number 1. Ravi is a learner. Do you think some action is going on in this sentence? No. Ravi is learning English. Here there is an action, and the action is of learning. Is learning is the action in this sentence. What action is going on in the sentence? Learning. So this is functional sentence. This verb is having a functional verb. But in this sentence, Ravi is a learner, there is no action going on. Only some information is given about the subject. And what information is given? The information is that someone is a learner. And about whom is this information given? This information is given about Ravi. So, students, here, this is the non-functional verb. A non-functional verb shows state, whereas a functional verb shows action. Now, here we come to the point, how can we identify a subject? If the sentence has a functional verb, ask that verb who. What? Ask the verb who. When you ask who is learning English, you will get the subject of the sentence, and that is, the answer is Ravi. I repeat, when the sentence has a functional verb, you have to ask that verb who is doing that action. The word you get an answer will be the subject of the sentence. So this is way number 1, how we can find out the subject of a sentence. Then there is way number 2. Let us now consider first sentence, Ravi is a learner. Here there is no action going on in the sentence, only some information is given about someone. And who is that someone this information is given about? This is Ravi. So when there is no action going on in a sentence, we just need to know what kind of information is given and about whom this information is given. So the person about whom the information is given will be our subject. And here, about whom the information is given, this information is given about Ravi. About whom? Ravi. So here we have two ways to identify a subject of a sentence. Students, now we have now understood how we can find out the subject of a sentence. Once we have spotted the subject, once we have found out the subject out of a sentence, now it is for us to understand whether the subject is in singular number or plural number. So students, yes, I left this sentence for some time. Now let us get back to this sentence. Here, what is the action? In this sentence there is the action, there is the functional verb, and the verb is playing. And what function is going on in the sentence? Playing. The action is playing. Who is doing this action? This action is being done by Ramesh. So Ramesh is the subject. Students, this is a very simple sentence that I have written, and it is quite easy for you to understand the subject. After this example, I will take one more example that is somewhat confusing to you, so that you can apply this rule to find out the subject of a sentence. So here Ramesh is the subject, and this is in singular number. Now check whether the verb which follows it, is it in singular number or plural number? Is it in it is in singular number. This is. So here subject agrees with the verb in number. Now let me write one more example for you. One of the boys has won the match. Yes, so students, let us take this example now. One of the boys has won the match. Here, again, we just need to understand whether the sentence has a functional verb or non-functional verb. We find that here there is a functional verb. Won. Win, won, won. Win means to overcome, to trump, to win something. One of the boys has won the match. Here, what is the subject? Who has won the match? Again, since this is a functional verb, you just need to ask who. Who has won the match? Boys or one boy? One of the boys. Here, the actual subject is one. Why? Because we are not talking about all the boys. There was only one boy out of many. So, the actual subject of the sentence is one, not boys. Since actual subject is one, hence this is in singular number. That is why we have used a singular helping verb with one. One of the boys has won the match. Because we are talking about only one boy, not many. So students, with the help of this rule that I have just told you, there are two ways. So using these two ways, you can just find out the subject of the sentence. So students, let us now discuss more about subject of a sentence. Students, subject of a sentence can either be a noun, pronoun, infinitive, or gerund. Noun. Students, in order to find the number of a subject, first of all, we should know that a subject can be a noun. When a subject is a noun, how can we find the number of a noun? Nouns can range from two categories. First is countables. Such nouns as can be counted are known as countables, and the nouns which cannot be counted are called uncountables. So, uncountables. Okay, students, let us now take few examples of countable nouns. Countable nouns are pen. We can count pen. So, the nouns which can be counted can either be used in singular number as well as in plural number. For example, pen and pens. Pen is a countable noun, hence its plural can be formed. Pen, pens. Similarly, chair. Plural will be chairs. So, countable nouns can both be used in singular as well as in plural number. But uncountable nouns, for example, water, rice, wheat, sorrow, pain. These nouns are uncountable nouns, and these nouns cannot be formed into plural. So the uncountable nouns can never be used in plural number. Countable nouns can both be used in singular as well as plural number, but uncountable nouns are always used in singular number. They can never be used in plural number. This is the only thing that I want to tell you about nouns here. Okay, students, so we can never use a plural verb with these nouns. We can never say water or rices or wheats or sorrows or pains or. We cannot frame plurals of these nouns, but we can use pen is, pens are, chair is, chairs are. Okay? Okay. Now let us move on to second thing, that is pronoun. Pronoun. What is a pronoun? We have already read in previous classes that a pronoun is a word which is used in place of a noun. For example, pronouns. We will not take into consideration all the pronouns in this chapter. We will discuss only few important pronouns in this chapter. So students, let us now discuss pronouns. Pronouns we will discuss personal pronouns first. Personal pronouns stand for persons. These are divided into three persons: first person, second person, and third person. First person is I and we. First person comprises of I and we. Second person comprises of you, and third person he, she, it, and they. Students, let us now try to understand their number. I am here going to write singular. So in singular number we use third person: he, she, and it. So he, she, it, third person, singular, are taken as singular subjects, whereas I, we, you, they are used as plural subjects. I, when it is used with was or were, the helping verbs of past tense. When I is used with was or were, it takes was. That is a singular verb. So when we use I with was or were, we always use was with it. We can simply say that it becomes singular when it is used with the helping verbs of the past tense. Whereas in all the other cases, it is always taken as a plural subject. So students, here personal pronouns can be used in singular and plural number both. Here singular, the pronouns as subjects used in singular number are he, she, and it. Whereas the personal pronouns used in plural number are I, we, you, they. I, when it is used with the helping verbs of the past, especially was or were, we consider it as a singular subject, and we always use with it was. Let us now move on to infinitive. What is infinitive? The combination to plus first of the verb is called infinitive. Students, when infinitive form of verb is used as a subject, it always takes a singular verb. Let us see. To go for a walk is good for health. Here, to go for a walk is the subject of this sentence. Is the verb, this is the subject. And to go is the infinitive form of verb, and it is doing the action of a subject. So when infinitive form of verb becomes the subject of a sentence, it always takes a singular verb. The second thing is gerund. What is a gerund? First form of verb plus ing. This combination, first form of the verb plus ing, is called gerund. Like infinitive, when gerund becomes the subject of a sentence, it also takes a singular verb. For example, going for a walk is good for health. Here, this is going. Going is the gerund form of verb and it is becoming the subject of the sentence. Subject of this sentence. This is the verb, this is the subject. So, it is also taking a singular verb with it. So, students, here we have discussed subject. What is subject? How can we identify a subject? And how can a subject be singular as well as plural? Now, we are going to study verb. Let us now discuss verbs. What is a verb? Students, in this lecture, just few moments before, I told you about verb. Verbs are of two types. First is functional verb, showing action. Then there is non-functional verb, showing state and possession. So students, we have two types of verbs here. First, functional verbs. Second, non-functional verbs. We have already discussed about these forms of verbs in this lecture previously. Now, let us read more about action showing verb, root form. What is root form of verb? Students, in English we have already learned a number of verb forms. Verb forms like first form, second form and third form of the verb. For example, see, saw, seen, play, played, played, go, went, gone, come, came, come, become, became, become. So these are called the three forms of verbs. Here, what is the root form of verb? First form of the verb like sleep. We call it the root form of the verb. So let us now read about five forms of verbs. Five forms of verbs. You'll be pretty confused how have these become five forms, because you have always learnt about three forms. Now there is nothing to get confused about these last two, fourth and fifth forms of verbs. I'll tell you why. First form, there is sleep. Second form, I'm taking for example the verb sleep. Second form of sleep is slept. Third form of sleep is slept again. Fourth form, now here I'm coming over to this fourth form. When you add ing to the root form of the verb, it becomes fourth form of the verb, sleeping. Right? So in any of the root form of the verbs, if you just add ing, it becomes fourth form of the verb. And where is this fourth form used, students? This fourth form of verb is used in progressive, means continuous, as well as in perfect continuous tense. Right? Continuous and perfect continuous tense. Now, let us discuss fifth form of the verb. When you add s or es to the root form of a verb, it becomes fifth form. It becomes sleeps. Sleeps, this is the fifth form of verb. And where is this fifth form used, students? This fifth form of the verb is used in simple present tense. Simple present tense, which is also known as present indefinite. Present indefinite tense. But our purpose to read about these forms of verbs is to know which forms of verbs are affected by number and which are not. So students, out of these 5 forms of verbs, there are only 2 forms of verbs which are affected by number, and these 2 forms are first form of the verb and fifth form of the verb. It has a number and it has a number, whereas these remaining 3 forms, second, third and fourth, are not affected by number. Let us now know what is the number of first form of the verb. First form of the verb is always used in plural number, and make it a point, since it is used in plural number, it always takes a plural subject. Understood? It always takes a plural subject. Whereas if there is a singular subject, and I have told you in which tense is it used, simple present or present indefinite tense. So here, if the subject is singular, we always use singular form of verb, that is fifth form of verb. For example, Amit go is wrong, because Amit is singular subject, whereas go is the root form, means first form. First form of verb is always in plural number. In order to make it singular, because our subject is singular, so if we want to use a singular verb with this singular subject, we need to add es to it. Now we have added s or es to the root form and it becomes fifth form. Fifth form of verb is always in singular number. So here, singular subject, singular verb. I hope you have understood these 5 forms of verbs. Only 2 forms of these 5 are used as singular and plural. Otherwise, these 3 remaining forms of verbs are unaffected by number. Now, let us discuss the non-functional verbs. Verbs showing state or possession. So students, let us first of all discuss verbs showing a state. When a verb shows a state, that simply means there is no action in the sentence. So state to be. Be is the verb that shows a state, and possession is shown by the verb to have. Be and have are the verbs which show state and possession. Be shows state, have shows possession. Let me write 2 sentences so that we can understand how state as well as possession is shown. So students, here I have written 2 sentences on the board. So let us consider first sentence. Am is the verb here, and this verb shows state. In the second sentence I have a good pen. Here have is the verb and this shows possession. Possession here means something that I possess, something that I show my ownership on. So there are many sentences that we can frame, that we can see where there is a non-functional verb especially showing possession. Like she has a cat, I have a pen, they have a good house. All these are the examples of verbs showing possession. So similarly, we can simply say that a verb that shows a state we use be, the verb that shows possession we use have. Now let me just make a table so that we can understand these 2 verbs better. Be. So students, for verb be we have is, am, are, was and were. For have we have, has, have and had. Okay students, this is the verb which shows state, this is the verb which shows possession, and these are called helping verbs. These are called helping verbs. Then there is third verb. This verb do has the forms do, does, and did. This verb is used in simple tense. This is used in present and this is used in past. So students, this is also a helping verb like these two verbs, but this is used in simple present tense. Now we will try we will just understand, we will just know which of these helping verbs are used in singular as well as in plural. So first of all, I am going to write singular verbs. Is singular, and in past tense was is singular. Is and was means out of the category is MR, is the singular verb. Out of the category was is the singular verb. Now let us consider verb have. Out of the category has or have, we have has as singular verb. Out of the category, and this had is used with both singular and plural subjects. So we cannot classify had in singular as well as plural verbs category. Now third, do, does. Out of the category do or does, we have does as singular verb. So students, is, was, has and does, these are singular helping verbs. Then plural verbs. Out of the category is, am, are, we have are as plural verb. Out of the category was, were, we have were as plural verb. Out of the category has, have, we have as plural verb. And out of do, does, do is plural. Had and did, both are unaffected by number. They are used with the numbers, with the subjects of both the numbers. So students, here we summarize this verb topic here. Singular helping verbs are is, was, has, does, and plural helping verbs are, were, have, and do. Here am is the helping verb, which is always used with the subject I. So students, here we have discussed this verb. Now we have discussed, we have understood both subject as well as verb, and what we have understood about subject and verb, we have now come to know how subjects are singular as well as plural, and how verbs as well as helping verbs are singular and plural. And now students, I am going to write few examples on the board. With the help of these examples, we will come over to the conclusions, to the generalizations which will work as rules also, the rules that we can remember for the reference, for future reference, so that it will be very helpful for us to crack the editing, omission and close passage exercises that we are going to have. So students, now I'm going to write few sentences on the board.